Hello there, this is James, and today I've decided to do another motivational video told in story format. Now, this particular story I'm going to tell today is a true story. Once again, there's also a story I have been telling for nearly 20 years. This is how much of a fan of this story I am. But before we get into the story and, we'll start sharing with you what I've been, telling for 20 years, don't forget, I do have a partnership with a company called Traders Education. Traders Education, of course, provides educational material or trading educational material, both in video format and in written format, as well as providing technical analysis and analysis of the markets. Now, these products are designed for brokers to share this amazing information and data and educational stuff to their clients, to keep their clients educated and informed. And don't forget, I've recently done two amazing projects with Traders Education. Two projects have yet to come out, but we are both very, very excited about. As well as that, don't forget, I do have an association with a company called Trust Broker. Now, Trust Broker is a product for retail traders, which can potentially help you with your trading. And as well as that, I have an association with a company called Skillmentum, which is a consultancy company specializing in HR consultancy, as well as media and visuals, of course, and obviously marketing and content. Obviously, the media and visuals is what I do. And don't forget, as I always say, I am indeed a freelancer at the moment, but I'm always open to any potential opportunities. With that out of the way, let's get on with this story. Now, like I said, this story I've been telling for about nearly about 20 years now, and it's a story, and it's totally a true story as well. And I tend to tell this story whenever I'm sort of in conversation with somebody, and I always find it really fascinating. I always ask, what would that individual like to do with their lives, or as a job, or as a career? Because I always find it fascinating. And they often tell me they've always dreamed of doing this and that, and they're being held back from doing that dream. And this is why I always tell this story, because this story has a really firm message for anybody out there yet to be doing their dream, either their dream job, dream role, or whatever. So this story is for those people out there. And this is a true story of when two icons of the 1960s met each other. And this is a story of when Spock met JFK. Now, back in 1956, Leonard Nimoy was a struggling actor. He dreamt of being an actor. And he was going after so many different auditions, different roles, and he was finding it very, very difficult to make ends meet. And of course, he was married, he had a family, so he had responsibilities. So he took many jobs. One job, he was an ice cream scooper. That's an actual job title, but he was an ice cream scooper. And, worked in stores and checkouts and things like that. But another job he did was a taxi driver. And obviously, he was being a taxi driver in California because he left Massachusetts to go to, Los Angeles to try and be an actor. So he was a taxi driver. The idea that during the day he would look for potential acting roles, and at night he'd work as a taxi driver. But he was really struggling to find acting work. So he worked, like I say, pretty much near enough full-time then as a taxi driver. One day in 1956, he got a call to go and pick up a certain senator from the hotel in Los Angeles. I think it was the Bel Air Hotel. So he went off to this hotel to pick up this certain senator. And this senator, obviously, jumped into the taxi because that's what he was being sent to do, pick up the senator. And so, Nimoy said to this individual, very good evening, Senator. Now, this senator was beginning to get famous. He was beginning to get a name for himself. So people beginning to notice him Okay, remember this is 1956. He was still a senator, but he was a senator of Massachusetts. Okay, Massachusetts. And Leonard Nimoy was from Massachusetts. So Nimoy went back to the senator, and this senator was none other than John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And Nimoy went back to him, good luck, Senator. Nice to hope it's going well for you, and all this jazz. And obviously Kennedy from Massachusetts noticed Nimoy's accent because he's from Massachusetts, and they started having a conversation. They started chatting away, and talking about politics, obviously, because Kennedy was in politics, and obviously what Nimoy really wanted to do with his life. What his dream was. And he was saying, well, Senator, I really, 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 really want to be an actor. And I'm trying to be an actor. I'm trying to go for certain jobs and get certain roles, but it's just not happening. It's just not happening for me. So I'm beginning to give up just a little bit. I'm beginning to go, do you know what? This is just not working out. And JFK, he said to him, look, your job, what you want to do, acting, is very similar to my job, as in politics. And the main big thing about our industries is that it's so overcrowded. There's so many people in that industry fighting for positions, fighting for acting roles, or fighting for positions in politics or positions of power. And Kennedy then said to Nimoy these key words, which changed everything for him. He said, always remember, there is room for the good one, or room for one more good one. Room for one more good one. Obviously they parted ways, and dropped off Kennedy to his destination by chance. Just a little side note: Kennedy didn't have any money, so they went into the hotel, and Kennedy managed to get some cash with them and pay the $1.25 fare, and as well as I gave Nimoy a tip of $1.75. But more importantly, a nice tip to have back then. But what was more important about that was those words: there's always room for one more good one. And Nimoy took those words and he said, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep looking for that role, that acting job. I'm going to keep going with my dream. And he did. But it didn't happen overnight. Obviously, many years later, JFK went on to be President of the United States. Nimoy started getting acting jobs and acting gigs, but he didn't land the big role until 10 years later, which changed his life forever, and that was the role of Spock in a brand new sci-fi series called Star Trek in 1966. And this changed everything for Nimoy, because he kept going. It didn't happen overnight. It took him many, many years of hard work, but he got there. He got his dream job, and it changed everything for him. After that, Nimoy obviously did roles in Mission Impossible. He did acting roles in like the 1970s remake of The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Nimoy went on to do 6 Star Trek motion picture movies. And he even went on to become a director, directing films like Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, and Three Men and the Baby, which, if you're from the 80s, you know how massive that film is, or how massive that film was. So the point being of this story, and I tell it all the time, whenever people come up with me and tell me their dreams, I tell them this story because those words that Kennedy said, don't give up. Don't give up on your dream or what you want to do, because there's always room for one more good one. So anyway, that's one of my favorite stories. I hope it's motivational. I hope that leads people who still have dreams to keep going and understand it won't happen overnight, but there's always room for one more good one. So keep going. So Gary, that's today's little story. for today. And again, like I say, I know this video is not about markets, it's not about trading, but it wouldn't be a James video if I didn't do my usual sign off. So remember, these little videos are for educational purposes only, and in no way whatsoever should be taken as trading advice or advice how to be an actor in a massive sci-fi series. I always suggest you do your own due diligence and do your own research, and of course, know the risks at hand before entering any trade. With that out the way, every single one of you, trade safe.